Beneath the shining surface of the endless sea, where coral palaces glimmered like jewels and the water shimmered in shades of blue and gold, there lived a young mermaid princess named Serena. She was the youngest daughter of the Sea King, known throughout the ocean for her kind heart and her voice that could melt even the coldest wave. Her long silver hair floated around her like moonlight, and her eyes held the mystery of the deep sea. While her sisters spent their days singing or playing among the dolphins, Serena would often swim up to the surface and gaze longingly at the world above. She was fascinated by humans, their ships, their music, and the lights that danced on the shore at night. More than anything, she wanted to see the world beyond the ocean's reach. One night, while Serena was watching the stars from a quiet rock near the surface, a terrible storm began to rise. Dark clouds gathered, lightning flashed across the sky, and the waves turned wild and angry. In the distance, she saw a grand ship fighting the raging sea. The thunder roared and the sails tore apart. Serena's heart filled with fear as she saw people falling into the dark water. Without hesitation, she swam closer, searching for anyone she could save. Among the wreckage, she found a young prince sinking slowly into the depths. His eyes were closed, his face pale. Serena wrapped her arms around him and carried him to the shore, struggling against the current and wind. When she finally reached the beach, the storm began to fade. The sky turned soft gray, and the first rays of dawn touched the sea. Serena laid the prince gently on the sand. He was still unconscious, his golden hair wet and tangled. She touched his face softly, feeling her heart beat faster. To keep him alive, she sang a gentle song, her voice blending with the waves like a melody of life. As she sang, his chest began to rise and fall, and color returned to his lips. The prince slowly opened his eyes, just for a moment, and saw the most beautiful face he had ever seen, the face of a girl with shining hair and eyes full of light. Before he could speak, Serena slipped back into the sea, afraid that humans might see her. She hid behind a rock and watched as people from the castle came running to rescue him. In the days that followed, Serena could not forget the prince. Every night, she would rise to the surface and look at the castle on the hill, where lights twinkled like stars. Her heart ached with a strange longing. She wanted to see him again, to speak to him, to walk beside him. But she knew that mermaids could not live on land, and humans could not breathe underwater. Her father, the Sea King, noticed her sadness and warned her never to go near the human world again. "They are not like us," he said. "Their hearts are fleeting, their lives are short. Stay where you belong." But Serena's heart refused to listen. Love had taken root deep within her soul, and it would not fade. One night, as the moon rose high, Serena swam to the farthest corner of the sea, to the dark cave where the sea witch lived. The witch was feared by all creatures of the ocean, for she dealt in forbidden magic. Her voice echoed through the cave like the hiss of 1,000 serpents. When Serena entered, the witch smiled cruelly and said, "I know what you want, little princess. You want to be human, to walk on land, to find your prince." Serena nodded, trembling but determined. "I can give you legs," the witch said, "but the price will be your voice, the most beautiful voice in the sea. Without it, you will never sing again. And remember, once you become human, you can never return to the sea." Serena's heart pounded. Her voice was her most precious gift, but her love for the prince was greater than anything she had ever known. "I accept," she whispered. The witch brewed a glowing potion made from the tears of the sea and the shadow of the moon. "Drink this when you reach the shore," the witch said. "You will feel pain as if your heart is breaking, but when the sun rises, you will have legs instead of a tail." Serena took the potion and swam to the surface. When she drank it, fire burned through her body. She felt her tail split into 2 legs, and she fainted on the sand in unbearable pain. When she woke, the morning sun was warm on her skin, and she found herself lying near the prince's palace. Her silver hair gleamed in the light, and her tail was gone. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. At that moment, the prince appeared. He looked at her with surprise and kindness, thinking she was a girl washed ashore after a shipwreck. He helped her stand, and though she could not speak, her eyes told him everything. From that day, Serena lived in the prince's palace. She walked beside him in the gardens, listened to his laughter, and smiled even when her heart ached with the words she could never say. The prince liked her gentle nature and treated her with warmth, but he still dreamed of the girl who had saved him, the mysterious voice that had sung to him in the storm. Serena wanted to cry out that it was her, but her voice was gone forever. Each day, she hoped that her love would be enough, that he would see the truth in her eyes. But deep inside, she knew that her dream was fading like the tide at dawn, slipping away with every passing wave. The morning after the mermaid princess vanished beneath the sea, the world above carried on, but the ocean seemed quieter, as if mourning her absence. Deep below, where light barely touched, Serena's spirit floated in the silence. The sea witch's spell had taken her voice, her body, and her world, but not her heart. Her love for the prince still lived, glowing like a pearl hidden in darkness. Though she no longer had a body of flesh, the ocean accepted her as part of itself, turning her into a spirit of the waves, neither human nor mermaid, but something eternal. She could feel every current, every ripple, every heartbeat of the sea. Her voice, once stolen, now existed in the song of the tides and the whisper of the wind over the water. Years passed, and the prince, who had become king, never forgot the mysterious girl with silver hair and silent eyes. He had married another princess out of duty, but in the quiet of the night, he would walk to the shore, staring out at the sea that had once taken his savior away. He often dreamed of a voice singing softly through the wind, the same voice that had comforted him during the storm years ago. Though he could never remember the words, he always woke with tears in his eyes and the taste of salt on his lips, as if the sea itself had kissed him in sorrow. Serena watched him from beneath the waves, her heart aching with a love that no longer belonged to this world. She wanted to reach out to him, to touch his hand just once, but the barrier between sea and land was unbreakable. Yet when storms rose and waves threatened the kingdom, Serena would rise with the tide to calm the waters. Her spirit carried the strength of her love, and whenever the ocean turned wild, her gentle presence would quiet it. The sailors began to speak of a spirit of the sea, a beautiful figure who appeared in moonlight, her hair flowing like silver water, guiding lost ships back to safety. They did not know her name, but they prayed to her before every voyage, leaving shells and flowers at the edge of the shore. One evening, a powerful storm unlike any before struck the kingdom. The sea raged for days, swallowing ships and breaking the harbor walls. The old king stood on the cliffs, rain pouring over him, and cried out to the sea, "Please, spare my people. I beg you, great ocean, have mercy." His voice was lost in the wind, but deep below, Serena heard him. Her spirit trembled with both love and pain. She could feel the storm's fury tearing through her beloved sea, and she could not let it destroy the one she had once saved. Gathering all her strength, she rose through the crashing waves, her presence shining like light in the darkness. The sea obeyed her will, the winds softened, and the raging storm slowly faded into calm. When morning came, the sky was clear again, and the people found the shore covered with glittering shells and pearls, gifts from the sea. Among them lay one large pearl, glowing softly as if it held the light of the moon inside. The king found it and felt warmth spread through his heart. For a moment, he thought he saw a shadow in the water, a figure with long silver hair watching him with a gentle smile before disappearing into the waves. He fell to his knees, understanding in that instant that the girl he had once loved had never truly left him. She had become part of the sea itself, watching over him, protecting his kingdom, and loving him from afar. From that day forward, the king built a white stone temple near the ocean, where the people came to honor the spirit of the waves. They sang songs for her and lit lanterns that floated upon the water like glowing stars. Fishermen swore that on calm nights, they could hear a soft melody rising from the deep, the same song the mermaid princess had once sung to save the prince's life. Children were told that if they listened carefully, they could still hear her laughter in the sound of the sea breeze. As generations passed, the story of the mermaid princess became a legend. Some said she had become the guardian of the ocean, others believed she watched over lost sailors, guiding them home with her song. But those who truly loved the sea knew the truth, that she was still there, living in every wave, every shell, and every shimmer of moonlight upon the water. The ocean carried her spirit, and the wind carried her voice, forever whispering her tale to the hearts of those who dared to listen. And so, even as centuries turned and kingdoms rose and fell, the love of the mermaid princess endured. The waves still sang of her courage and her sorrow, of a love that defied worlds and time itself. On quiet nights, when the sea is calm and the moon glows silver, you can still feel her presence, a soft touch in the air, a faint melody across the tide, the eternal soul of Serena, the mermaid princess, whose love became the heartbeat of the ocean.